Hello, I'm Rachel from Douentza Garden in Ireland, and as autumn is most definitely here, it's time to get on with a bit of work in the garden and to divide a few perennials. Now I have a few clumps that have gotten quite large or are in the wrong position. So today we're going to divide 4 perennials, a Brunnera, a Geum, a Asphodeline and a Geranium. So if you want to see how I do it and how I replant a border that, well, it's going to look gorgeous, it's going to be all yellow and orange and blue, then do stay tuned. In just a second we're going to head down there in the garden and get on with the work, but just to let you know, if you're new to the channel, that I garden in what roughly equates to as hardiness zone 9. Now I'm in Ireland, we don't use that system here, so just take it as a rough guide for, well, I guess how our winters will go. Right, let's go and do some work. Behind me here is the first bed that I am going to work on, and as you can see there is a gap right here, and this gap was created when I lifted a giant hosta early on in the year. We can see that the hosta, I missed a bit because there's a bit growing back. I also took up some horseradish, so we do have a little bit of horseradish coming up in here, so that's going to have to be lifted out. But basically we've got a space to play around with. I'm going to make it an even better space by lifting this geranium here, and also by lifting the Brunnera, which is a plant which will do quite well in a bit of shade. So this is more full sun, and the Brunnera basically is wasted here. So I'm going to go with a yellow-orange theme in this border, and this is going to be augmented by some plants which I'm lifting up from over there. Here I have a yellow Asphodeline which has ceased flowering because it's in too much shade. So it's the perfect opportunity to lift it and divide it and put it in the border behind. I'm also going to lift a Geum from that bed and divide it and put it in the border behind. And I have a couple of yellow lupins that I think will go very well in there. So I guess the first thing to do is to get started, and I'm going to dig up the geranium. So as with all lifting, we just go around with the spade and things should start to loosen straight away. This is a lovely geranium called Renardii, so a species one, and it produces kind of white and mauvish flowers, mauvish blue flowers, so really nice. And I'm going to divide it and possibly put some of it back here in this border. And here we are. The next plant I'm lifting is this beautiful Brunnera, which I really look forward to using elsewhere in the garden. Such a fantastic plant, and I am going to split it because you could never have too much of this. There are some roots here at the back from the rhododendrons, and that's kind of making it a little bit harder to get out than the previous geranium. It's also quite difficult to get in here. Now, the joy of lifting and dividing perennials in autumn is that their roots are quite shallow, so they come out easily. There's a nice juicy clump. And now I'm going to lift out the piece of the hosta that I forgot. That's easy peasy. And there it goes. And the horseradish. Horseradish is a bit of a pest, so this is going to keep sprouting and coming up for a few years to come, a bit like a yucca. But if you keep on top of it, you can get rid of it. And there is a nice big planting space. And sometimes it's easier just to lift everything at once. So I'm going in here to have a go at the Asphodeline. Gosh, I can't remember the name of this plant. It's so hard to remember. But anyway, it's a nice thing. It's coming up and it's going to go into that border over there. And as I lift this out, you can see what a shady area it is in. A plant that likes full sun is never going to be happy here. I hope it'll do better where I'm about to put it. Whew. And if we look closely at this plant, you can see already it is making natural divisions. This one is going to be super easy to divide. Now over here we have the most beautiful Geum. The flowers are almost red and it flowers for such a long time. This is also going to be lifted and divided. And you can see here how the bamboo is interfering with it. So that's a culm I'm going to have to cut. And there's my Geum. Just while I'm in the neighbourhood, I'll just take this bit of bamboo out. There we go. We're not going to replant this one. I'm going to start first with this Brunnera and just putting some gloves on to save the hands a bit. And the first thing I'm going to do is look for natural divisions within the plant. So this is where you can see clear crowns and soil between. Now, if you can divide things just with your hands, it's better than sawing them. But in this case, I'm going to just take my hori, and where I see a natural division, I'm just going to cut down. Same as a saw, really. And where would this division go to? Just untangling the leaves a little bit so we can see what's what. And I'm going to cut in there. Now we can see that the plant is beginning to come apart and we have two discrete pieces. Now I have to ask myself, how many pieces do I want? And I think I can easily get 4 that are big enough to replant immediately. Because if I cut these too small, then it may be I end up with pieces that need to be overwintered in pots and just, you know, minded. There's a nice slug in there. So where that slug was, I'm going to cut it again here. There's a natural division here, making it the perfect thing to do. Right. There's one nice piece, 2 nice pieces. And then this piece, will I divide it into 2 or will I just leave it as it is? Well, you know what, let's go for it. Let's get 4. Here we go. And here you can see where the rhizome has been cut and the plant divided. So here we can see I have 4 good pieces and these can be transplanted straight away. I don't want to be messing around with overwintering these. You can see here there's a really small piece And this might perhaps be viable if I were to put it in a pot in the greenhouse, overwinter it that way, but I don't have the energy for that at the moment. I'm overwintering enough plants in the greenhouse for putting out in my lasagna bed next spring, so we won't add to them. Now I'm going to remove a few of the leaves here just to give it the best chance, so that the plant can put energy into fixing its roots and not sustaining growth, top growth. With this plant here, I'm just going to take off maybe about half of the leaves, the outer leaves, the ones that are somewhat spent, leaving a majority of leaves on the inside, which would be the newer, fresher leaves. And if a leaf is broken, of course, off it comes. So here we have a good piece to transplant straight away. Next up we have the geranium, and actually I've made videos about dividing this geranium before. It's very easy. You just make sure you have a rhizome and some top growth. Well, in this case that's a bit dead, so we'll get rid of it. It might be fine, but you know, I have enough in this plant to not have to worry about anything that's too small or potentially not viable. And with this particular geranium, you can pull it apart very easily. Some of them you have to cut or saw, but this one, no, comes apart fairly easily. And there we go, another bit that could be transplanted straight away. Just remove a few of the leaves on top. Next up we have this fellow. And look at all those luscious growths in there. I have broken the roots a little bit lifting it up, but that's okay. It will recover nicely, I'm quite sure. So I'm just going to feel in here with my hands and see if I can just pull the plant apart. And you may note that I'm using the same spot to do all of the dividing. That's because I only want one spot on the lawn to clean up. It makes a big mess with soil. All of which needs to be put back into the border, really. Now, so it's not a day for things coming apart in the hands, except for the geranium, of course. The geranium came apart really easily. Ah, I speak too soon. Here we go. So, there we go. Now, I'm going to leave these three pieces as one division, and then here I will try and get two divisions. I have some choices if I want to divide this plant in two. I could go down here, which would give me three growths, one of which is really tiny, and three on this side, one of which is really big. Or I could go in here. Actually, there's another tiny growth there, which actually is the most preferable option because of a really big growth here and a medium-sized one here and a tiny one here, whereas these three are regular sized. However, oh, there she is talking again, it's more difficult to get in between there than it would be over here because there's more space. So I think we will just kind of see if I can get it apart here. I don't think so here, but here should be okay. Ah yeah, here we go. You just have to fiddle with these things and wait for them to give. Yes. Okay, so one division with two regular sized growths. Oh, look, I lost the baby in the process. I might plant it together with that, and the other one here has a big growth there and two regular sized growths and a tiny little one here. Okay, three divisions and a good amount of soil. But let's have a look at the Geum now, and this Geum was being interfered with by the bamboo, so it is not as big as it should be. But again, we're looking in at the crown, we're working out where the natural divisions would be, and we can see immediately that the plant would be quite happy to divide into just there, and both of these are big enough to put directly into the ground, and that's what we're all about today. There we go, 2 geums. And let's just get that soil back in the border. Nothing wrong with it at all. And the next step is to put plants in here in their planting place. And I'm going to start with 4 lupins, which will be quite tall, and we'll place here at the back. This, of course, is going to be a beautiful yellow, orange and blue border, which is going to look fantastic. Well, I'm going to just put a clump of the geranium there. Should be fine. Is there space for one over here? I wonder. Maybe another one? Actually, this geranium has a very, very long tuber that's kind of sticking out, and it's going to make it hard to plant. It really doesn't need all of that, so I'm just going to trim it like this. And now we have a much more manageable clump. Once everything is laid in place, then you can start planting. And I will put just a little handful of potting mix or store-bought compost in each planting hole. And of course, for removing leaves, you can always do that after you've planted the division, because sometimes it's easier to leave the leaves on just to handle it and lift it about. Of course, you want to bury your plants to the same depth that they were buried in already, not any deeper. And here we are, all planted up. The only thing left to do is to water everything in really, really well. And with that, we come to the end of the video. Now you may be wondering what happened to the Brunnera, because clearly I didn't replant it here. Well, if you want to find out, then you're going to have to stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye.